Well, it's day 4 of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office, and you are watching First 100 Days. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Remember that you can join the conversation if you use the hashtag First 100 Days. It's now official. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, as Chief of Staff, and the former Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, Ibrahim Adejeya, as Deputy Chief of Staff. At a meeting with Progressives Governors Forum, the President also announced former Governor of Benue State and former Minister of Special Duties, George Akume, as Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The appointment, we understand, takes effect from 14th of June 2023. The President said he has inherited the assets and liabilities of the previous administration and will be proactive in introducing plans and programs that will have direct impact on the people positively. This is President Tinubu's first appointment since he was sworn in, and it's expected that other appointments will be announced in the coming days.
This kind of meeting between President Bola Tinubu and the Progressive Governors Forum is the first of many more meetings that will help the APC administration plan and coordinate the implementation of policies and programs in its manifesto. It was also time for a frank talk on the state of the nation, especially the prevailing petrol crisis caused by government's decision to stop the payment of petrol subsidy. President Bola Tinubu acknowledges the challenges the country faces and has promised to consider a review of the minimum wage.
We need to do some arithmetic and soul searching on the minimum wage. We will have to look at that. We are digging deep into the revenue of the federal government. We must strengthen the source and application of those funds. Where is it coming from? I had Security Council meeting yesterday. Two of the items, mainly security, then revenue. We had our discussions, and I want you to please continue in that line.
The governors were at the State House on a courtesy visit. They pledged their loyalty to the Commander-in-Chief. Mr. President, in his response, promised to run an open-door policy.
If we think together and work together, Nigeria of our dream is not far away. Be sure we're not going to have the multiple exchange rate anymore. Let's constantly deliberate, think together, and maintain an open door policy. Get that one clear.
After meeting President Tinubu, the APC governors briefed State House correspondents and defended the decision of government to stop the payment of fuel subsidy. The president's announcement on the withdrawal of fuel subsidy payment caused an instant ripple effect across the country and inconvenienced citizens and motorists who had to spend so much time on queues waiting to get the products. Now President Bola Tinubu wants to leverage on the partnership with the APC governors to explain to Nigerians what his administration seeks to achieve. Already, President Tinubu has made his first set of appointments, an indication that his administration has set the ball rolling and is prepared to take on the task of governance. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Also earlier today, President Tinubu observed his first Jumat prayers at the National Mosque in Abuja.
For every one of us to know that nobody can do it if not Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you go back,
now let's talk to State House correspondent Femi Akonde, who joins me live from Abuja. Femi, it's no longer speculation. The Speaker of the House of Reps is now confirmed by the presidency as Chief of Staff. Well, with all the feelers that came in from yesterday, that's not breaking news at the Aso Villa, right? Well, we probably will get back to Femi in the course of the program. Let's take a breather now. When we return, I'll be joined by legal practitioner J.T. Ogunye to clarify some issues considered gray areas in the appointment of the Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. Stay with us.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear
Now, let's tell you about the office of the Chief of Staff to the President of Nigeria. It's a high-ranking official who manages the office of the President. The position was created by President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999, modeled after the White House Chief of Staff. And its duties are assigned by the President, but primarily focuses on managing the flow of information and people, as well as advising the President on various issues. And through those roles, the position is considered to wield considerable influence. Legal practitioner J.T. Ogunye joins me now on the program. Thank you for joining us at this hour. First set of appointments in 5 days. What do you make of these names in terms of spread and competence?
Well, thanks for inviting me. What I can say straight away is that it's not too bad that this appointment is coming about 5 days after the inauguration of the president. Some people had expected that, given the campaign promise repeated many times, that the president will hit the ground running, that the appointment will have come immediately after the inauguration. But again, the first work day came when the president and the vice president went to Aso Rock with their spouses, meeting with officials and all that. And so 4 days thereafter, these appointments are coming. It is, however, noteworthy that the appointments are not expected to take immediate effect. The appointment of the Chief of Staff, for example, is going to take effect from what we've been told on the 14th of June. And you may be wondering why. My assumption is that, given the personality that has been appointed the Chief of Staff, the occupancy of the office of the Speaker currently, because the new National Assembly is yet to be inaugurated. A proclamation is yet to be made convening the new National Assembly. I guess that the outgoing Speaker will have to be given time to tidy up his affairs before resuming office proper as the Chief of Staff. That, however, has implications for what has to be done immediately, in my view, if you ask me.
Some have also made reference.
The other time, 2 days ago or thereabout, organized labor was having a meeting with the presidency. And those who were in that meeting, who were trooping out of the venue of the meeting, on the government side, had no designations yet, had no official portfolios yet. I don't think that that's too good. The earlier we had these offices occupied, at least the immediate staff of the president, not the ministerialists, I think the better for the business of our government.
Absolutely.
Now, generally, let me then answer your question directly. The person that have been appointed, in terms of spread, I think that, in my view, the appointment thus far satisfied the federal character principle requirement in terms of spread, not centralized DF, Southwest, Chief of Staff, and then Northeast, Deputy Chief of Staff. And I think that that kind of pattern should be encouraged. Nigeria is a diverse country, and the federal character principle is worded into the Constitution to ensure and guarantee inclusivity, inclusion of various people in government, so that nobody will feel left behind, no ethnic group, no state will feel left behind.
Indeed, Mr. Ogunye, if I can button very quickly, many are of the opinion that perhaps the Akume appointment is also going to, appeal to stakeholders in the North Central, given the choice of the APC for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. But very quickly, let's talk about a bit of controversy shrouding the appointment of Femi Gbajabiamila. Of course, you established the fact that his appointment will officially begin after the expiration of the 9th Assembly. But what happens to his mandate at the poll? What precisely is the position of the Electoral Act in this regard?
It's not our Constitution has crafted nicely the requirement for 3 branches of government to work independent of one another. There is a degree of interdependence though, but our Constitution is framed in such a way that a member of the legislature cannot at the same time be a member of the executive. Indeed, the Constitution requires that if a member of the legislature is appointed and is taking the appointment as a member of the executive, either as a minister or head of an agency in the federal executive branch or state executive branch, he will vacate his legislative office, and his office will be, his seat will be declared vacant, and there will be a by-election. The question will be if Mr. Gbajabiamila knew beforehand that he could be occupying the seat of the Chief of Staff to the President, why then did he go for the Surulere federal constituency seat? Anyway, politicians work like that. They are going to an election. They're not too certain of what will happen, but they wanted to have the best of both worlds and then settle for one eventually. So those seats, anybody, and that goes for the Deputy Chief of Staff. If he's still having a seat, he's going to have a seat in the 10th Assembly as a senator. He will have to vacate that seat. And that was so arranged in the Constitution because, unlike a parliamentary system of government or a cabinet system of government or Westminster system of government, where legislatures are also constituted into the cabinet. The prime minister is a member of the legislature. He goes to the assembly or the Westminster Hall, to debate his colleagues and then do the work of government. In a presidential system of government that we borrowed from the United States of America, the legislature is different and is separated from the executive to ensure that government runs smoothly and all that. People have debated whether we shouldn't revisit the parliamentary system of government, but that's not what we are discussing now. What the Constitution provides is that once you are a legislature and you are given appointment in the executive branch of government and taking up the appointment, you have to vacate your seat, and then that seat will have to be filled by another person. So, in other words, the federal constituency, we're going to see a by-election pretty soon. And maybe some persons in the party will then have to step up and then try to, because it's not going to be automatic, there will be another election, and other parties are entitled to participate in that election as well.
So we expect that seat to be thrown open, and then, the parties will return to the polls to decide who takes its place. Very quickly, before we let you go, let's talk about the Office of the Chief of Staff. Some say it was modeled after the White House Chief of Staff by former President Obasanjo in 1999. But talk to us about the legal and political powers that the person occupying the seat wields in the Nigerian presidential system.
Now, quickly. First, that office is not a creation of the Constitution. We have the Office of Secretary to the State Government and Secretary to the Government of Federation. Most offices are established by the Constitution, but the Office of the Chief of Staff is also established. Historically in Nigeria, two persons started the culture of having chief of staff appointed. It's not only the president that started it. The current president, it was not only Chief Olusegun that started in 1999. The current president started it also in Lagos. It's Americanized in the sense of Chicago and all that. And so he felt it was convenient for him to introduce that. And introduce it in Lagos, right, from 1999. So Lai Mohammed, Raji Fashola then came after Lai Mohammed, and so on and so forth. So, in the Nigerian context, depending on the agility, knowledge, political disposition, and tolerance of the person occupying the position of the president, the office of the Chief of Staff has become so important in certain tenures and also important in others. In 1999, at the federal level, the office of the Chief of Staff to the President was very important. And the occupant, wielded enormous influence and authorities because the occupant at that time came from the military background with the president. Indeed, they were colleagues in the military, and he was a well-respected person. And so he occupied that office for 8 years, even into the Yar'Adua presidency before he left. He wielded enormous power and authority. In the Yar'Adua presidency, the person who occupied the office of the Chief of Staff, for that little period, didn't wield as much power as the person that was there. So the point to make is that a number of factors determine how influential a Chief of Staff is going to be. In recent times, however, given the way the former president, and this is not a personal attack, appeared laid back, hobbled by infirmity, or good enough he has survived it now and is retired, gracefully. Late Abba Kyari became enormously powerful. And so people then tended to believe that anybody that occupied the office must be very powerful as the central controller of the presidency. who will determine who sees the president, who doesn't see the president, and so on and so forth. It's not supposed to be like that.
Absolutely.
He is a chief bureaucrat that controls the staff, is the head of the personal staff of the president. He's not supposed to be so politically powerful as to determine what happens and what does not happen.
I guess we'll find out what happens in the coming days and coming years of this administration. Allow me to jump in very quickly, Mr. Ogunye, to bring in our correspondent who is standing by in Abuja. Femi Akonde, if you can hear me quickly in a minute, walk us through what the mood like was today at Aso Rock, aftermath the president's meeting with APC governors.
Well, we are after that meeting with President Bola Tinubu, because they were able to speak with him, listen, and he also explained the challenges because, as he assumes the office of president, as he was sworn as president, he now understands what is on ground, the realities, economic realities, and also the reality in terms of security and other sectors. He explained all of that to the governors, asking them to join hands and support his administration, promising to run an open door policy. But most importantly, he said that the minimum wage will have to be reviewed because he understands the challenges and difficulties Nigerians are facing presently, and which has also been worsened with the petrol crisis that is prevalent in the country. He talked about also growing the country's revenue. He would need the support of subnational governments. He would also need them to buy into his own idea of reviewing the national minimum wage, because it's one thing for the federal government to put a new minimum thing for along. It will implement his
Femi Akonde live for us in Abuja. We probably will get back to you for an in-depth analysis of what transpired earlier today. A big thank you to our guest also who has joined us to explore this latest development, legal practitioner G.T. Ogunye. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Let's turn our attention very quickly to the coming days where we expect the exercise activities to kickstart for the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, and how the relationship between the executive and the legislature will foster government's plans. I'm going to leave you with a conversation I had with some critical stakeholders at the presidential inauguration ceremony in Abuja. That's our program today. Watch a repeat tomorrow at 6 a.m. And of course, we'll be back next week with more. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Some say that perhaps the priority before him is uniting Nigeria, particularly when you look at how Nigerians voted during the election. It now needs to bring everyone together. But I've also heard people say the first political test he has is the leadership of the National Assembly. You have been there. Talk to us about your expectation in this regard.
No, but Ashwaju himself has said it, that he will unify. And you know the kind of person he is. He's not the kind of person that says, oh, this person is my enemy. He doesn't. He has a forgiving spirit. He doesn't even quarrel with anybody. So I know he will do that because he has the character to unify everybody. And you can see it's beginning to happen. Opposition, APC all coming together under his leadership. So, for the National Assembly, the National Assembly is always a tough one. But I know that the National Assembly, while saying, we want to be independent, we also don't want this, but everything will sort itself out.
To be joining your colleagues at the 10th National Assembly, some are saying that the initial political test before Asiwaju right now is the leadership of the National Assembly. Would you say that is settled now?
I don't see any issue whatsoever. As usual, it's a struggle for power, a struggle for control. It's quite natural and it's democratic. I don't see it affecting Asiwaju in any way. In any case, the contenders are members of the same party. And I know, as a matter of fact, they are all serious supporters of Asiwaju. So it's now a question of I'm fighting for my people, I'm fighting for myself and stuff like that. I have a feeling that at the end of the day after will be exciting.
In 2015, it did not go your party's way, and some said it affected President Buhari's performance.
That was a technical issue. People did not arrive in time. Things started happening, and I don't think we've gone beyond that. That will not happen this time around.
We now have two senators as president and vice president. What does that say? Because that's perhaps the first time that is happening.
It's an indication that our democracy is growing. If you recall, in the US, most of their presidents usually comes from the Senate. So I think our democracy is becoming matured, and then people are graduating from one level to another. What that does is to bring a better understanding of how to govern, and also bringing people with adequate experience in all facets of governance, which is good for our democracy.
Absolutely. So you have worked with Asiwaju both as a political foe and a political ally, and as a commissioner. What's your expectation from him as president of the Federal Republic?
Well, I think we are blessed to have a man like Asiwaju as our president-elect, and very shortly the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm saying this because he has seen it all. He was in the Senate, he was an elected governor, and he has also nurtured and mentored quite a number of people who have also distinguished themselves in different fields. So I think it's the time to now harness all that. It's like when you plant a seed, and at some point there'll be time to reap the planting. So I think this is the time that all those Asiwaju, all those people that he has mentored and sustained over the years in different walks of life will now come together to support his administration. And one thing you cannot take away from him is a good hunter when he comes to search for talents.